Today is the last Sunday of Advent. Next Sunday we celebrate Christmas time. And we've been talking about Advent and what it means. And I love that song. That song cannot be sung by an adult. It should never be sung by somebody who can actually pronounce an S properly. If you can pronounce your S's well, don't sing that song, please. But it's just one of those that makes you realize why we celebrate the Christmas season. Now, in this series, I've made some concessions about Christmas time. I've made some concessions about this season that we're celebrating. I concede to the fact that the Christmas day was not originally a Christian celebration, right? I acknowledge the fact that, yes, the Christian church had borrowed from pagan cultures from Norway, from all over the world that celebrated this season on a special holiday on December 25th or around that time. And I acknowledge the fact that the Christians took it over and changed it. And I know it's not originally a Christian holiday. But guess what? It is now. Why? Because someone had the audacity to tell the gospel to pagans. And they injected their gospel into their holidays. They told the world, they said the holiday, let me tell you about Jesus and why he came. So let's take this holiday, this Yuletide, this Saturnarium or whatever they called it in Rome. Let's take this holiday, and since we're celebrating something anyway, let's celebrate the birth of God coming into this world and making it something new. And I've also acknowledged the fact that over the years people told Christmas that it wasn't a Christian holiday, and that the Americas and the consumerism and the capitalisms of the world and the other isms of the world looked at Christmas and said, ooh, we can make money. And let's remind Christmas that it was originally a pagan holiday, so let's cultivate and culminate on that. Let's take everything that the Christians put in there and tell them and rip off its ugly mask and say, oh yeah, that tree, that's actually something that's not Christ. Well, actually, Martin Luther was one of the first people to have a tree in his house. So technically it was a Christian symbol. St. Nicholas, let's make Santa Claus this guy who just runs around and gives people gifts, breaks into people's houses and leaves stuff. How many of you want to put an alarm by your chimney or chain the dog next to the chimney, if you have one? But really, let's rip the mask off from Santa Claus and reveal St. Nicholas, who was a guy who did goodwill and good stuff for people, who helped people out. But but we have taken, and Christmas has lost. It's like a Christian who backslid, who was doing so good for a few years there, and was doing so well, and suddenly somebody reminded them who they were, and told them their past. And they said, oh yeah, I'm not worthy. I'm worthless. And you can't pray so much. Okay, so we don't pray so much. And suddenly we're floundering and nobody can tell that we used to be Christians. Yeah, we show up to church on Sundays, or we show up to church when the doors open. But other than that, there's no evidence. That's what happened to Christmas. So how can we redeem Christmas? How can we redeem Christmas? The title of this message is Redeeming Christmas. Kind of fits in with this whole series that we've been talking about. And each Sunday in Advent, each day in Advent shows redeeming Christmas. First of all, let's get back to the point. of what Christmas is about. Let's read my favorite Christmas story out of the Bible. Most of you are turning to Matthew or Luke right now. Don't. John chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was light, and the light was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to bear witness about the light, that he may believe, that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but he came to bear witness about the light. The true light which enlightens everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. But to all who did receive them, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. And we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness about him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, he comes after me, ranks before me, because he was before me." And from his fullness we all have received grace upon grace. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God, the only God, who is at the Father's side. He has made him known. That's the Christmas story. That's what we are celebrating. And no, Jesus was not born in December. That's another concession I forgot to admit to make. No, Jesus was not born on December 25th. Historically, if we look back, people have proved that Jesus was actually born on April 6th. More likely. But, April 6th is kind of close to Easter time, so we can't celebrate Jesus' birth and his death in the same month. So we decided let's celebrate it at another time. And hey, why not? December is a good time, because we need something to celebrate anyway, right? Haven't had a celebration in a month or two. And it's cold, snowy, and wet, and nasty. Unless you live near the equator, then it's just boring. I don't know. So we need something to celebrate. We need a festivity. And how? So we celebrate it in December. And we celebrate this right here. We celebrate the fact that the Word became flesh, that God himself came down to earth, lived as a human being, as one of us, with one of us. He wasn't born in a palace. He wasn't born in the State House, the White House, the biggest, huge building you can think of. He wasn't born to a prince, a king, a president, a prime minister. He was born to a carpenter and his wife, a virgin. And he was placed, and he was born in a stable and placed in the only place fitting to lay a baby in a stable, a feeding trough. We call a manger.